First, we have services we offer. And within here, we're going to add some lorem text. And the same thing for how we work. Notice it's just a matter of going back and forth and converting it. So now let's do this last one, and this is a quote. So I can either press the letter T or click right here to select the text tool, and I will click and highlight that so I can copy it. And now we're going to create another div, and we're going to try out grid 2, though that might still be a little bit too short, but we'll play around with it. And this grid is going to contain a block quote, and within the block quote, we'll have a paragraph tag that contains that text, like so. Isn't Zen coding really neat? After the block quote, we have some information about who said it, but we're going to come back to that shortly. And then if we come back here, we have read more buttons under each column. So we'll add those as well. We'll place that within a paragraph tag, and it will be a link, read more. And because I know I want to style these specially, I'm going to apply a class of button, like so. Next, I'm going to come down and paste it for the next grid. Notice I haven't yet even looked at this in the browser. I don't need to. Now we're going to copy this, and why don't we just grab all of this text and place it in like so. And because he had 2 paragraphs, I'm going to make sure that I do the same as well. There we are, that looks clean. And he has the exact same thing for the second column. So we'll do it once again, and I'll copy and paste that in. And in this case, it looks like he has 1 more at the bottom. It doesn't really matter. This is dummy text. It's simply a way to represent what a real website would look like. All right, and that section is done. So now let's take care of the footer. And all he has here is black and white themes via Theme Forest. So we'll place this at the bottom right here. Now I want you to notice, can you see how very quickly, once you have lots of divs, it can be difficult to determine which div is closing which? And that's why we use indentation, because I can easily tell that this div is the closing div for this one. However, if you need more, perhaps you can't see what this one closes, you're always welcome to add comments. And we do that with this syntax. And within the middle, you can say end container. This is purely preference. I sometimes do it if I find that I'm forgetting what a closing element is. Now, right here, let's add our footer. And within the footer, I'll scroll down just a touch. We are going to have a simple paragraph tag that contains that text. What we can see here is, should black and white be clickable? I don't know. We would have to ask the client, but it is bold. So we're going to make that strong. And then likely Theme Forest is a website, so we should make that clickable. So first I will wrap that, and we do know where that one's going, so we can put in the link right now, themeforest.net. Next, black and white we decided should be strong. So I will wrap that within strong tags as well. And we do need to add this text right here. Some slick phrase would go in here to sum up what the business actually does and stands for. So let's come back to the top. And because we know this section is sort of a banner, why don't we wrap it within a div? And within here, just to begin, I'm going to have a paragraph tag. And what does the paragraph say? This text right here. And there we are. And then rather than using an image here, why don't we apply this big image as a background, because it's really not important to the website, it's a background. So let's remove that entirely. Now, just as we noted that each of these sections right here is a grid, we can tell that this one right here is the width of both of these grids below combined. And we hypothesize that each of these is grid 5, so that would mean this would be grid 10. So for now, let's add that in. In addition to banner, we'll give it a class of grid 10. And we also know from working with 960 in the previous lesson that the wrapping class should be container 12. Then after this, we can have our empty box, and we'll place it right after it, div grid 2. And we'll just leave that blank because presumably it would be filled with some text or images or links. But we don't know what it is for our hypothetical client, so we're going to leave it blank and then they can tell us later. All right, so this looks good for our home page. We did it fairly quickly. Now is the point when we get to view it in the browser. And here we are, and you can see nice and clean markup. Looks perfect. This is what you want to see, because you always think, if I were to disable CSS and JavaScript and images, would my website still be understood by the reader? And in this case, absolutely. So in the next lesson, we're going to get started slicing our PSD.